What's going on? Welcome to the 5-Minute Mindset Podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Colton Olson, and on this podcast, we spend about 5 minutes, I say about 5, give or take a couple sometimes, breaking down and teaching you to apply psychological concepts that world-class athletes, CEOs, coaches, and elite military units use to take their performance to the next level. The key word here is apply. I don't want you to come here and just get a bunch of information and not know how to use it. I want you to leave here every day feeling like you have something in your hands that you can use right away to improve your life. Let's get to it. Welcome back, or welcome to 5-Minute Mindset. And today we're going to talk about a really underrated and often ignored component of high performance. So when we think about elite performers or high performance or almost any area, we think about the things we work on most, right? Our skill, whether or not we're talented, how hard we're working, our effort, our grit, our ability to battle through challenges, things like that, right? And all those are super important. If you want to be elite in your field, you absolutely have to have those. You have to be skilled, you have to work hard, and you have to be able to battle challenges. But there's one other thing that we don't talk about, we don't work on very often, that when paired with the other things we just mentioned, can kind of speed up your development and help you make massive jumps as a performer. So this is something too that I think I would classify as a performance hack. It's just manipulating something that already exists around us to create the results that we want, to create success. And this performance hack, this ignored component of elite performance, is environment. So when it comes to environment, right, it can be broken down into 4 categories, I believe. So the first environment that we operate in is our physical environment. That's the most obvious one. Our house, our office, locker room, classroom, whatever else, the physical things around us. That's the first component of environment. The second type of environment is social environment, the people, your coworkers, teammates, the people you come into contact with most often. Third is our mental environment. So mental environment is more or less what we allow ourselves to consume or what we expose ourselves to informationally on a daily basis. And then the fourth component of environment is organizational environment. So the culture, the general feel of things around you. Those are the 4 pieces of environment. And so the reason our environment is so important is that we've seen in research in psychology and anthropology that over time, the environment we operate in or exist in ends up having a greater impact on our behavior or our performance than things like effort, skill, attitude, things like that. And that sounds strange when you think about it, right? You're like, how does that work that my environment would contribute more to my success than the work I'm putting in the weight room, learning, practicing, whatever? Well, when you think about it, what determines the work you do on a daily basis? What determines the food you eat? What determines the information you come into contact with? What determines the exercises you do when you go to the gym? Your environment, right? The work you do, the office space that you go to or the place you go to do your work is likely set up to help you do a few different types of tasks throughout the day, right? When you go to the gym and you work out, the exercises you do is largely determined by the machines, the equipment they have available, and whether or not there's people on them. The food you eat is determined by what's available in your house or what's nearby your area in terms of restaurants, grocery stores, etc. So environment's huge. It's everything. And in Atomic Habits, James Clear describes environment as the invisible hand that guides performance. So our environment is kind of quietly nudging us throughout our days, determining what we do, what we don't do, how we think, all that sort of stuff. Environment's massive. So if it's so important, why do we ignore it so often? Because for me personally, this was something until I read the book, I never thought about environment. And it was like a light bulb went off for me. I'm like, holy crap, this is huge, right? We don't think about it very often because it's so obvious. It's so in our faces and so big that we actually don't think about it at all. And there's a great parable, a parable of the 2 fish, that describes exactly what environment is for us. So the parable goes, there's these 2 young fish swimming along one morning, and an older fish comes near him and swims by the other way. And he stops for a second, nods at him and goes, "Morning, boys. How's the water?" And they pass him, the 2 young fish swim along. And after a few minutes, they look at each other and one goes, "What the hell's water?" That's what this is. It's so obvious and so in our face, we don't even think about it. And often, too, we just don't think we can change it. We just work to do our best in whatever circumstances we're given every day, which is great. But we can control our environment. This isn't something that we have to just operate in, we have to do our best in and roll with the punches, right? we can customize our environment to promote our success. So that's what we're going to focus on now, is 3 ways to customize your environment, to take advantage of your environment so that it creates the success, the behaviors that you want. Tactic 1. When you're working to customize your environment, one of the things you need to focus on is it needs to be easy for you to make good decisions. Right? So whatever your goals are, whatever you're trying to accomplish, you need to understand what decisions need to be made in order for you to accomplish those goals. So then you customize your environment to make those decisions easy. So for example, a lot of people want to drink more water throughout the day. A lot of people want to drink a gallon of water. And they struggle with this because they have a small 16-ounce water bottle and they need to drink like 10 or 12 of them to get to a gallon. So to make that easier, you could just get a big water bottle. A 40-ounce water bottle, only have to drink like 3.5 of them. Saves you some trips, it seems more convenient, right? You're making it easier. Another example, if you're trying to eat healthy, put the healthy foods at the front of your fridge so that they're easy for you to grab. Make making good decisions easy. Tactic 1. So tactic 2 is identify and remove barriers. So a lot of the time we fail at the things we're trying to do because they're inconvenient or they're hard, and that's fine. But remember, as we're trying to make good decisions easier, we also want to make it harder to do things that are going to trip us up. So one of the things a lot of people are trying to do now is cut back on social media because it leads to increased anxiety, issues with self-confidence, and just general mood. It can make you sad, right? So they want to look at social media less, but what they end up doing is opening their phone and their social media app is right there, right? So they get tripped up. They don't accomplish this goal. So to do that, the barrier is, okay, I want to look at social media less. It's right at the front of my phone. That's what's tripping me up. So take the app and move it from the front page of your phone to a place where it's a little bit harder to get to. Just that extra work might make it less common for you to open it up and scroll through social media, right? It's a little bit harder. So remove those barriers that you're facing. That's tactic 2. And tactic 3, make sure the environment you create is wired for consistency. A lot of the times we get tripped up, we end up not accomplishing our goals because our life changes. And that's how things work. Life is dynamic. It's always changing. So as you make making good decisions easier, you remove the barriers, you make those things harder to do, you have to make sure you're set up to be consistent with these things. So we want to do it over and over again. We want it to become habit. So make sure you're making this environment so it steers you in the right direction. It nudges you like that, even when things aren't going the way you want for yourself, right? It's got to be set up so you can do things consistently. A weird thing for me that's helped me be consistent, so like going to the gym on a regular basis is really important for me. I want to be consistent with that. For some reason, when I set out my clothes for the gym the night before, my consistency is way higher than when they're not out. Because when they're not out, I get up in the morning, I go to the bathroom, brush my teeth, whatever, and then I'm like, oh, I'll just wait to go to the gym. I'll take my time. Whereas if the clothes are set out, I walk in there, turn on the light, that's the first thing I see, boom, I'm going. So wire it to create some consistency for you. So use the environment to guide your performance. It is the hidden hand that guides your performance, that guides your behavior. So customize it to make the decisions and create the life that you want. All right, that's all we got for today. If you enjoy the podcast, please subscribe, leave a review, and I'll see you back here next time on 5 Minute Mindset.